The coronavirus making a record-shattering but unwanted surge.
As of this morning, the number of infections nationwide is more than 11 million. Starting today, more states are putting restrictions back in place. Face masks are now required in North Dakota, no indoor dining in Washington state.
And later this week, Michigan will suspend all in-person instruction at high schools and colleges. So could Texas soon see a new round of restrictions come our way? Erica Zuko has the answer for us this morning. Good morning, Erica.
Good morning, Sarah and Stacia. Well, so far there are really no indications that we're going to see further restrictions here in Texas yet. Recently, most of the executive orders and information coming out from the governor's office has been about deploying resources to areas of the state that are being really hard hit. Some infectious disease experts say that they would like to see some type of capacity restrictions, some of those things rolled back in. However, a lot of local business owners as well as some local leaders say that there needs to be some form of economic relief if you're going to ask these businesses to limit the amount of businesses they're doing right now, because as you know, not all businesses have even survived until this point in time. Now, some city and county leaders have previously said that they might be open to doing more distancing restrictions, for example, but they said that they couldn't legally because the governor's orders supersede theirs. But we haven't seen anything specifically in Bexar County or San Antonio about any new restrictions coming anytime soon. So far, our numbers are looking okay, though hospitalizations are ticking up. What they are asking is that everyone continues to wear masks to keep numbers down, and that they also do not make any plans to gather in large groups over the holidays. Reporting in San Antonio, Erica Zuko, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.